Hey, you in there, Arthur? What do you mean? I'm right. Shut up, Chaos. I want Arthur. Thank you to our final patrons, Strawbones, Redbull4765, and Midnight Gemlord. Now, before we get into this quick discussion on Arthur, not being Arthur, please leave your own thoughts on Arthur not being Arthur in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, curate that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do a page down below, in for as low as $1 a month to get these exclusive videos, early content, and more. Now, let's hop into the discussion. What's up, guys? I've got a pencil here, and Arthur just, word for word, bar for bar, strat for strat, just isn't Arthur. And this is something that we've been worried about, or at least some people haven't. Some people have been happy in the idea that Arthur is that Arthur. But me, I've been worried about it, mainly because I liked Evil Arthur. I think Evil Arthur is best Arthur. I think Evil Arthur is the only thing that has me interested in the villain cast of this narrative, outside of Papa Pelgard and Ironside's personal dilemma with our boy Percival. But I think the Chapter 85 phrase from Varghese that he changed immediately in the moment he unlocked the powers of chaos pretty much just immediately confirms for me that, yeah, even if Arthur is there, the amount he's there is quite low. Quite low in quantity. And I'm not exactly sure how to feel about it, right? Because on the one hand, Arthur being redeemable and savable because he was possessed does leave Arthur redeemable and savable because he was possessed. It'd be like that sometimes. Chaos was literally just described as a will, like literally a will with a massive power. So of course the massive power having a will and overwhelming Arthur, a human who admittedly pre his amp to Chaos King level was like fodder. I wish I could say another word, but he was just pretty much fodder. Excalibur really carried him. He kind of deserves it in terms of getting taken over, being possessed by the literal creator of the verse. I wouldn't be shocked. It would make sense that he didn't get to keep his individuality as a byproduct of gaining so much power. However, the other thing is, it kind of just removes all autonomy. Like, Chaos is not a character we know. Chaos is not a character, at least I'm not personally interested on anything outside of a scaling front. I'm glad Chaos exists on a narrative level, because it gives us a villain, I suppose. But in terms of an actual individual, the longer and longer we keep up this charade of Arthur being Arthur, but actually secretly, no, he's not Arthur, kind of just makes it so that Chaos doesn't get time to be established as a proper villain. I suppose we can just play the Sin to Lancelot transition, where Sin is Lancelot, and thusly Arthur is Chaos in this case, and thus everything that Arthur has done we just attribute to Chaos. But at the same time, I don't know. It's like, just because I can attribute everything to Chaos and not to Arthur it just doesn't work the same. Because I guess the difference between Sin transferring into Lancelot is that it is the same person. Like, one is a disguise of the other. Well, I guess Arthur technically will be a disguise of Chaos. I don't know. It's just weird. I don't think it works. Like, I think if we're going to have Chaos be our villain and not Arthur, then let Arthur be his own character. Because the longer Chaos keeps using him as a meat puppet, the more and more it's like, And the thing is, I don't personally get why Nakaba would do this one, right? Like, on a fundamental level, when you're writing a sequel narrative and you have one of your previous characters become the main villain, why not just let the character be the main villain? Like, why not? I don't know. Maybe it still is the case. Who knows? Maybe Varghese identifying that the moment Arthur got Chaos, he became a completely different individual. Maybe that is a sign that he's just being influenced. But even then, like, that's a lot of influence. I don't know. Arthur's just in a really weird spot right now. And Chaos is in a really weird spot right now. And so is Kath in the mix of all that. Because the other hypothetical is that it's not actually Chaos controlling Arthur. It's not actually Arthur controlling Arthur. It's actually Kath controlling Arthur. Because, Kath, he has a thing or two to do with destruction, you know what I would say? And it would also make sense that the reason things keep disappearing in the main world isn't because Chaos itself is incapable of just making things on its own, because we know Chaos can. It made the verse, and, well, not the verse itself. It didn't make the whole universe. That's a discussion for another time. But regardless, it made the world, and there wasn't a world previously as far as we know, based on the information that we have. It just thought it. Meanwhile, the destruction that's happening in the main world could just be coming from, Kath being like, it'd be funny, it'd be cute, it'd be hilarious if I destroyed multiple parts of this filthy planet, and just kept doing that. But even then, Kath as a antagonist, I don't know. He didn't hit the spot for me, really. Like, overall, I say the tragedy and the fall of King Arthur is 10 times the narrative in terms of general interest in character intrigue than the chaos deity that we were introduced to in the last, like, 15 chapters of the series was. And more interesting than Cath, who was a guy we had known for a long time, but whose real intentions weren't revealed until, like, the last 15 chapters of the previous series. I don't know. I don't like the idea that Arthur is not autonomous, though it makes sense on every other narrative level. It's been built up for a while now that Arthur's different. Arthur's changed. He seems way more monstrous, stuff like that. That wasn't Arthur. Varghese currently just slapping it in our faces, whipping it out and slapping his... Let me stop. But slinging it out and just slapping it across our face, being like, hey, sorry, fellas. That guy is not the guy I knew and once loyally served. He's different, and not in the good kind of different, the bad kind of different. Like, the narrative weight is... See, that's the thing, though. It works fine on a narrative level. That's the thing. I can't necessarily knock Nakaba for this. And as a commenter so beautifully pointed out, 9 out of 10 times, a villain in Seven Deadly Sins is usually being mind-controlled by another villain, or is subservient to another villain. So it is entirely within the pattern of Nakaba to have Arthur just be a victim, as Eldris was, as Fraudrin was, as Mel was, as pretty much Hendrickson. Like, everyone, one way, Gil Thunder, like, everyone was a victim in one way, shape, or form. So making Arthur the ultimate victim isn't necessarily out of Nakaba's pay grade. It just isn't. But I don't like that. I don't know. Because Arthur is most interesting to me as a fallen hero, as someone who fell from grace into the darkness. But he can't fall from grace into the darkness if he was not really fallen from grace to begin with. If we get, like... That's a spoiler, let me not. But if we get a scenario where we, like, cut into Arthur's head, say Gother pulls up on Arthur and is like, boom, boom, invade, and gets a look on Arthur's head, and it's literally just like that weird chaos thing that we saw that was floating amongst the stars, boxing with actual, like, one-armed Arthur, then I will just feel bad for, I guess, but that's the thing, right? No matter what, I can see why Nakaba's doing it. Because you get the best of both worlds. You get the image of King Arthur being an evil individual, a monster, a beast, slaughtering the other races, doing disgusting, dastardly deeds. You get the image of that. You get all that. And at the same time, you get to legally and character-wise acquit Arthur because, you see, it wasn't actually Arthur. It really was just this meanie chaos thing inside him. Or it was that stupid cat he decided to eat that one time. That's what was making Arthur really evil. It was never actually Arthur himself. And that sucks. I don't know. I like Arthur being evil. I guess that's it. That's my main bias. Like, no matter how much Nakaba tries to shove it down my throat that no, Arthur, in fact, is not evil. It's just the thing inside him making him evil. I'm still not sure how to feel. Because, like, would Chaos really want to control... Like, wasn't Chaos's favorite thing about humans was the fact that they were strangely autonomous. They could love, they could hate, they could do all these different dark and dastardly deeds, and at the same time be extremely loving in the next moment. So why would he want to control that? Why would he just not want to play a witness? But then if Chaos isn't playing a witness, you still have the entire idea of Cath. Because sure, Arthur may not be fundamentally immortal, but if we're taking Merlin's word at face value, Cath is. So sure, you may have been able to eat him, seal him up, but that doesn't mean bada bing, bada boom, you're suddenly the only viable guy in the room. That means that Cath is still in there, vibing, plotting, chilling, waiting to be let out. And I'm not sure how I feel. I don't know. Well, no, I don't like that. I don't know. It's a weird state we're in with Arthur not being Arthur, because on the one, like I said, on the one hand, get all the narrative implications behind it. Get why it works out. Get how we could end up saving Arthur. It works. It works. If it were pretty much any other character, I'm pretty sure I'd be fine with it. But it's the fact that it's Arthur. Once again, I say it with more and more, like, hesitation as the series goes on, because I'm getting more and more convinced that Arthur is not going to be our final villain. Camelot is not going to be our final objective. Just from, like, a sheer writing standpoint, I feel like if Seven Deadly Sins is supposed to be a comparable length to Four Knights of the Apocalypse, and vice versa. Arthur can't be our final villain. There's got to be something else introduced. But that being the case, it feels like if our final villain just... It's Madara all over again. Except it's Madara set up. But I don't think if... Like, imagine if at the end of Seven Deadly Sins, not the end, but like at the Demon King fight, as they're pummeling the Demon King to oblivion, and he takes his final form, he's like, thank you everyone, as he's a giant talking mountain man. Thank you everyone. I was actually never in control of any of my actions for realsies. I was just being controlled by a purgatory. I was controlled by Lord Hawk. Lord Hawk himself possessed me this entire time, and you see what you thought was me looking through him to monitor you was actually him looking through me to rule the demon world. And I actually am a really nice guy. Bada bing, bada boom. Like, would that be satisfying? Like, even if you could hypothetically argue foreshadowing to it, for Lord Hawk is the greatest being to ever be. Like, would that make you happy? Would that, like, satisfy you narratively that this big bad that you've been beating back at for the entire narrative actually wasn't the big bad? He was just being controlled by another big bad, and he's actually a nice person? Because that's what's going to happen. Like, if Arthur gets revealed to actually be a nice dude who still loves all the other races, that's what it's going to be like. It's going to be, oh no, sorry fellas. You know all that hatred you directed at me? You should actually redirect it at this other being that was just controlling me. Haha, my bad. Go fight that, not me. I don't know. That I feel like in no way can that be narratively satisfying. It fits narratively, but satisfying to like a reader base. But that's just me. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think Arthur not being Arthur is just a narrative good thing and it'll be a character good thing and Nagaba could write it in the perfect way so that it all resolves well? Or at least decently? Or are you in my camp where it's like, ugh, you see where it's going, you understand what Nagaba's trying to do, but you aren't the biggest fan of it? Please, pick your choice. Tell me why, and tell me why you believe that in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a page down below. You can support for as low as $1 a month. These exclusive videos, early content, and more. Thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is that guy with the pencil, writing off.